Hello, and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup Podcast, episode 32. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
Hey, how's it going?
We have a special guest today. Emily's here.
Heck yeah.
Our local Road to Nationals champion, Emily, is joining us on the podcast to talk about her experience, how it went, how Nationals is looking, and just
all things competitive.
Yeah. So, how was our weeks?
It's good. Good.
What'd you do in Flesh and Blood?
Bought some stuff. That's about it, actually. I didn't actually do much with Flesh and Blood this week. I was playing more Magic stuff.
Cool. That's fair. Well, Emily and I did a draft. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can beat me round one.
Using Emily's own tactics against her.
That's right. She taught you.
Yeah. So I originally thought in the 5 mirror it was right to go first. Just bleed a little bit of damage, Arsenal, and go. Turns out going second, I feel, is now the advantage.
Thanks to Emily's lesson about going second and how to do it.
Absolutely.
Talked about it in the Discord, and Tommy turned it around on her at the next possible opportunity.
Absolutely. Went 3-0. Took the win. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was a fun night. We had 9 people, so it was a little awkward number of a draft. There was a lot of people switching mid-pack.
That's all one pot, isn't it?
Yeah, one pot of 9.
Oh, that's terrible. I know in Magic, like 11 was the hell pod because it just was the worst. I think you stay in one pod with 11 and 12 you split to 2.
Yeah.
So it's just like the worst. I imagine it's got to be something similar for Fab.
Yeah, it was a little rough, but it was fun. It ended up with some interesting decks, and I won, which was fun. It's always fun.
Anyone pull anything spicy?
Yeah, there were 2 Shukos pulled, a rainbow foil and a cold foil, both super nice. Yeah.
That clustering, man.
Yeah, it was out of 2 boxes though. 2 boxes though, so I don't know if they were the same box. Often I do find
they were probably the same, just based on what we've seen before, where it's like 2 Shukos or 2 what's the ghostly touch you got? 2 a rainbow and a cold foil. You know, like it just seems like that clustering really does happen.
Yeah, seems like 1 box in a case is just an awesome box.
Yeah,
that happened at that sealed event we did. Like me and the guy across from me. He got the cold foil Crown of Providence, and then I got the rainbow foil.
Yeah, I think it's a thing. It's like a real thing. They just replicate sometimes the cold foil and the rainbow foil.
Yeah, it's interesting how that happens. I wonder if it's just they're put in the same slot kind of a thing in the sorting.
It's got to be the track. You know, the way the tracks are set up, they just happen to be synchronized with that. Probably weren't intentionally synchronized, I imagine. But because cold foil comes off a different track than the rainbow foils.
Right.
So, yep.
But, yeah. Well, this week's main topic, we're going to dive into Road to Nationals. So, Emily, you won our local Road to Nationals. There were 23 people there, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a big field.
Walk us through the day.
Well, I actually originally wasn't planning on going.
You're just that good. You roll out of bed and crush a tournament. Why not?
I don't know. Like I'm actually like intimidated by competition a lot because this is like my relax from real life game. But I think it was a locals tournament, so like a bunch of our friends are going, and then I figured I might as well go and hang out with them, and then like that way if I go in without like any high expectations for myself, I can like chill and have fun.
Yeah.
And like if I happen to do well, which I did, then it's like extra bonus.
Yeah.
So what happened was since there were 23 people and we did draft, so it's 2 rounds of 3, and you only need, I think, to win 4 games, and you can lose twice and you'll make top 8. So first round I ended up drafting this insanely like broken Fi deck, and I went 3-0, and then at that point I was like, well, I actually have a real chance at top 8 now, so like I might as well like I can actually like try and go for it.
Right, because you only have to win 1 in the second round, right?
Yeah, and so second round I drafted Icelander. I was gonna try to draft Fi again, but both people on my right were drafting Fi. So like by pack 4, there were literally no ninja cards left. And I was like, oh my
Oh,
god,
geez.
I gotta pivot. And the Icelander deck wasn't great, but it was a 1-2 deck, so it was enough to put me in top 8. So it was enough, which is yeah. And then top 8, I drafted Fi again, and what ended up happening was there were only 2 Fis in the top 8, which meant that we got all the good cards, and I ended up getting past the Spreading Flames and like a Combustion Point, and so like those cards are like super good, and um, yeah, and then I somehow like just kept winning every single game, and then I was the only one at the end.
Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
how does that work? So you do 2 pods, because I've never done competitive drafts. So you do 2 drafts essentially, right? And then it's 4 rounds or 3 rounds or something like that.
It's 3 rounds each. So you
Okay.
like draft once, go 3 rounds, draft once, go 3 rounds, and then it's top 8.
And for the top 8, do you draft again, or do you use the
Yeah.
one of the deck? Okay, God,
Yeah.
okay, that's
You're
wild. Okay,
drafting 3 times in a row.
in a single day, that's a
Yeah.
lot. That's
It
nuts.
was,
How long
yeah.
did it take?
Well, we started at 1, and then by the time I got home, it was like 10.
Oh
So
my gosh. Okay, all right, all right.
yeah,
It's
Now
a
I know
day.
what to expect. Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it
That's a
was
big deal.
yeah. Um,
Cool.
and also like they once you're done with each round, they take all your cards except for tokens, and then they like put it in a box, so you can't like cheat or anything like that. So
That's good. That's good.
yeah,
Yeah, keep it official.
yeah. So
Nice. And then what did you win for that?
um,
Oh,
so oh what?
no, go ahead.
Alright, okay. So top 8, you get the Kofoil Adult Dromai or Fi, and then in addition to that, if you get first place, then you get the Kofoil Adult Icelander, which is
Nice.
very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah,
And that's the new art, isn't it?
Yep.
yeah, it's the one
Yeah.
from Uprising,
Oh,
which I
it's so nice.
I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course you get your invite, correct?
Yeah. So top 4 gets the invite to nationals team.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I want to roll it back a little bit. So now that we've heard your experience of the day, how did you find Fab? How explain to us the beginning of your Flesh and Blood journey.
Well, I actually moved here to Philly relatively recently, like in March.
Mhm.
And so before that, where I was originally, I actually kind of just stumbled across it. Like I was in a mall, and there was like a like trading card game like shop in
Mhm.
the mall, and they had um Flesh and Blood cards on display, and I thought the art looked pretty, so I like checked it out and like got some packs. And then when I got home, I was reading like the card descriptions, and I thought it sounded cool. And I was like, if I ever um get to a place where like I could play the game, like I would want to do that. And so when I moved to Philly, it was like I didn't know anyone here, and I was alone, and like one of the things I wanted was to like make new friends, right?
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I was like, hey, there's that card game I wanted to get into, and I want to make friends. So it's like, I should find like a local game store that runs events, and then that would be like 2 birds, 1 stone. And so that was how I ended up getting into the game, because everyone there is super friendly, and it's just a lot of fun to go there every week and play the game.
Oh, absolutely. It's the highlight of my
Yeah,
week every week.
we say that all the time. Our shop is just awesome. We have a really good community. I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that.
Did you
I do want to follow up. Yeah,
Yeah.
did you ever play Magic or anything before this, or is this your first card game?
Oh, it's my first card game. Yeah, like there's a Fire Emblem card game that I mostly collect because I really like the series and the characters, and the art is really pretty. And it's also in Japanese, so like I've tried playing that game before, like with friends, and it's really hard. um, So this is like, yeah, this is my like. Besides that, this would be my first real card game that I've like invested a lot into. So yeah.
I gotta brag on you a little bit, just to add a little color to this background. So Tommy and I had been playing at our local for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, when you first came in to draft, and you drafted Azalea, I think, that first night that I saw you play. And I was like, oh, poor new person drafting Azalea. And then you wrecked everyone. I was like, oh no, this person is real risky. Like, our meta just changed. You got to keep an eye on her. She's going to cause all sorts of trouble in here. And yes, and you have. And you have.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the first few weeks, like when we were drafting different sets, and I didn't know anything about them, so I always like picked the hero I thought was the prettiest. So like Dorothea and like I guess Azalea's not that popular, so I did get like a lot of options.
She has a cult following.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on a draft, you're not going to be competing for cards. Yeah, totally.
But if you are, you're in trouble.
Yeah, right. I'm 100% with you. I actually, one of the main things that pulled me into Fab was the Mark Poole art. That was the thing that made me say, "Oh, okay, I gotta check this out," because he's a classic Magic artist, and that it was the art that pulled me in first. So you definitely have really good art. I get that.
So the next question we had was, what has made you stick with Fab? So, like, instead of is it kind of the similar thing where the community is keeping you in Fab, or have you even looked at other games, or are you just content with Fab?
I think I haven't. Yeah, I haven't really looked at other games. Like, it's definitely mostly like the community, not even just the one that we have at Redcap. Like, I went to the Pro Tour, not to like actually compete, but like to hang out at side events, and just like everyone that I played and like interacted with was just so friendly. And there was like so many times where I do like a blitz event, and then the person I played in the first round, no matter who won or lost, like we keep checking back on each other after every round, being like, "Hey, how'd you do?" or like, "Did you win?" and like supporting each other. And I thought that was really awesome. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to like. I feel like there's a lot of like thinking that goes into this game, and
Absolutely.
so it is nice to like get those brain wrinkles every once in a while.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I had similar experiences at Pro Tour where I would play with people and then see them later in the day and then grab a quick chat and see how their day's going and what they played, and just everyone I've met in the Fab community has been just positive experiences.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So you said you didn't consider yourself a competitive player before. Do you now? Do you now consider yourself competitive?
Didn't you hear her? She rolled out of bed and crushed it.
Like, I guess like, if my competitive, like, I don't like actively seek to win, and I would like be upset if I didn't.
No, yeah.
I actually typically like I'm actually usually like I usually like shy away from competition, kind of like sort of in video games, like games like Overwatch or something, where like the only option is like you have to compete against other people,
right?
And like you're winning or losing, like it depends on like you being better than the other team, and that has always stressed me out of it. But I don't know, this card game is I know I keep going back to like the community thing, but it's just like such a chill environment.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel bad when I lose, because like we laugh it off, and like we talk about like what we could have done better. It's just I like to go into these events without like thinking, oh, I gotta win, I gotta get like the first place prize, because that just builds a bunch of stress for me.
Sure, yeah. And competitive can mean, like, being a competitive player can mean multiple things. I think one is, you're right, wanting to go and win every time. And the other is just not necessarily performance related, but going into a game in a competitive manner where you're expecting a certain level of competitiveness from your opponent. Does that make sense?
I guess, yeah. So, I don't know. Am I a competitive player?
Yeah, I think you are. I think you are a competitive player, but in a good way. Like
you're not a try hard. You're
right.
Do well.
Right, exactly. That's a good way of framing it. Like you're not overtly trying hard to make sure you win every game, but you are putting effort and thought into your play to create a compelling back and forth experience in the game.
I'll take that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always enjoy, like, when we play our games together, I always enjoy the kind of little back and forth that we have about basically talking about the last turn or the upcoming turn and what could happen. And
yeah, I do tend to like talk aloud when we're playing.
Right? Yeah. But I enjoy that, and it's a lot of fun to have that back and forth and thinking on a level that has evolved from a novice player, if you know what I mean. Like you now, from just a couple months ago, from still learning the game and how it works, to now you've mastered how it works, but then you are trying to mold it into the direction that you want to take your deck, if that makes sense.
And teaching Tommy lessons about
exactly. You teach me things.
Yeah, it's definitely a joy to play against you because you are very relaxed about it. It feels like not a high stress game or high strung game where you got to focus, and it doesn't hurt to lose
right.
because you're just very chill about it.
And then the more people like that we have, and we have a lot of what makes our local community so great is we have a lot of people with that same mindset. So no matter who you're playing, you're gonna have a good experience, a fun night, and that's what it's all about. But so when it comes to going back to like drafting mindset, when you're preparing to build the deck, going into like, do you have a preference of what deck you want to build first? Or
how do you go about it? Like, what's your thought process? Tell the noobs what your secret sauce is.
I mean, like lately, I've been forcing Fi just because like he's dumb, but you usually it also sort of you've always had to sort of commit early in drafting in this game, but it feels like you have to do it even earlier now in Uprising because you get 14 cards per pack instead of 15,
right?
And so that sort of like constrains. But like I do try to draft 5 first. But if it becomes obvious by like pick 3 or 4 that it's not gonna work out, like I would still feel okay with pivoting then. I usually like the first 6 packs I'll take like the first 6 picks I'll pick like the best cards for like about 2 heroes and then so like when I buy pack 7 I'll have like 3 of each, right? And then based on that's like late enough into the draft that I can sort of guess what other people are drafting, and then I would commit to one specifically, which is usually 5. But yeah, so that's I guess a little bit of things that you can do. But like besides that, it's really just figure out what looks good.
Yeah. So you mentioned something in the Discord that was pretty spicy that I'd never thought about. And I'm guessing Tommy hadn't either, but I don't know. You said you try when you're doing Fi, you try to draft the 3 blocks. That's like your priority.
Yeah. Because Fi like doesn't really block well. So, yeah, typically the 3 blocks that he gets are the ones that are like, if you have 2 or more chain links, then it has go again. So it's conditional. But I like those cards because, I mean, like being able to like cover up a sword swing with 1 card, it's really nice. Just stuff like that. And
take the 2 resources away.
yeah,
2 resources of effort with 1 card.
Yeah, and if you get like tide flippers, so the final turn in the finals round at the Road to Nationals, I actually had like um I thought I had a bricked hand, like I had a blue scar for scar, I had a blue critical strike, and then I had one of those 3 blocks that's like a conditional go again, and it was just uh if you have the tide flippers, you can like play like a 2 attack and then give it go again and then continue the chain. So there's like ways to get out of not having that guaranteed go again. So I I like having the block because it saves your ass more than you think it will.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's like it's also if if you're in a 5 mirror, like you like I like to go second, right? So if you have lots of 3 blocks in your hand, then you can prevent more damage, and that's always nice too. So
yeah, straight block out for that first turn, so you draw back up, and you're going in even, or maybe even ahead momentum wise.
yeah.
So. Pretty cool. Tommy took that lesson to heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Paid off.
Yeah, I just like when people think of fight, like you like I know like there's a tendency to like want to just take all the damage and then like vomit back as much as you can, but I still think blocking is important.
I mean, clearly, if you took Road to Nationals with that strategy, it's definitely. I mean, it seems like it is the wiser FI, right? And I agree. Until I heard you guys talking about that, I 100% would have said you just don't block anything and go full gas, no brakes. But it sounds like there's a bit of a chess play because there's going to be more FIs at the table anyways.
Right. And every damage
that kind
counts.
of block. Yeah, exactly. When you do that, you're stealing their value from them. Which that 1 or 2 life is all the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So as we look towards nationals, there's going to be the draft experience, but there's also going to be CC. So have you thought about what hero you're going to be taking to nationals?
I'm actually pretty relatively new to CC, so I'm still figuring stuff out there too. Before nationals and like Road to National season, I played primarily Lexi, Ice Lexi, but I feel like I was thinking about bringing her, but I think the problem with her is that she does like eat aggro heroes, which is nice, and like Fi is a pretty popular hero in the upcoming meta. But he also her weaknesses are also the same as the aggro heroes. So like everyone is like bringing guardians or like also other ice heroes like Oldhim and like also Ice Lexis. Like she is really bad into disruption. Her Prism matchup is kind of rough, and like she's also really bad into guardians. So like just like aggro heroes. So if the meta is gonna be aggro and then like counter aggro, she's kind of like stuck in the middle. As much as I like playing her, it just didn't feel like the best option. So I've been trying out Briar.
Yeah.
Who also has like similar issues with like against ice heroes and somewhat rough against guardians, but I think
you're gonna have more blues though, and you block
that's
better.
True. Yeah, so that's why I was saying like between like Fi and like Viscerai, Briar, like other aggro heroes, I feel like Briar might have like the best overall matchup spread. Like she has a lot of blues and a lot of 0-cost reds, so she's not terrible into ice, and she like has ways to like deal with guardians and just so I'm testing it out right now. I'm enjoying it so far, so we'll see.
And you played you played some pretty good games with her recently. You posted a picture in the Discord of a turn that went off. Could you describe that a little bit and talk about it? Because that was freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, I was playing like someone from our locals that he's like a huge Shovel fan. So what happened was like I had channel hooked out. Then I did Force of Nature into Snatch, and then so that's threatening 2 card draws at hit. So I just hit a dragon with it, and then got 2 cards. And one of the cards I got was the second channel about Horuk. So I just played that, and then it went crazy.
Then that's insane. Yeah, it just doesn't stop with Briar because you just draw and 0 cost and all that, right?
Yeah, the Force of Nature plus Channel Horuk is always disgusting.
So gross. I've had one of those turns I caught on camera. It was the best day of my life. I was like, this just never stops.
Yeah. And I don't know. The cool thing about Briar is like you still do a lot of damage even without Channel Horuk. So it's like, yeah, and I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to just vomit a ton of damage
consistently.
Yeah.
And with on hit effects that threaten draws to force blocks.
Well, and you're clearly good at calculating the back and forth. You know, the fact that you're thinking defensively with Fi says that, right? And she's an efficient blocker with the Earth token thing, right? So you can take that to your advantage with that kind of mindset, which I think will be a good advantage going into national. So do you have like a regiment? Are you just practicing anytime you can play, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I sort of just, I don't know. I've been I don't know if this will sound lame or not, but I have a physical Briar deck now that's mostly complete, and then I sometimes will like open up decks on Tabletop Simulator and then like play myself like that. I do think it helps because like I have to learn how other decks operate, and so that sort of like if I have to learn how to play a deck, it sort of helps me like on the other side too, where I can like sort of predict what other things like my opponent would do if they were that hero. So yeah,
you'll have less surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can consider their mindset then because you actually have had it.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm any good at most of these heroes, but I feel like it's better than playing against an AI like on Felt Table or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
The AI would be stupid.
Yeah, definitely. And I've done that too, just to kind of get a feel for different decks. And I actually had fun with it with 2 decks that I was interested in playing both of them. So I got to learn both at the same time.
Yeah, that's always nice. Yeah, and people from our locals are often looking to just play games. Like yesterday, I played like 4 or 5 games with someone from our locals, and it was nice. And I got to play like against Icelander and Kano and Roundup. So he was just testing a bunch of decks. I just kept beating him over Briar.
Sounds like me and Tommy.
Yeah.
You just keep beating me over and over.
I'll just play Icelander. I'll play against Icelander. Oh, what's the video going to be? Oh, it's going to be
Icelander versus
somebody. Icelander versus whoever Tommy's playing.
It's so funny.
But yeah. I mean, we have games. People looking for games in the Discord. So
yeah, it's nice.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and with Tabletop Simulator, I think it is helpful. Like webcam games are great too, but Tabletop Simulator is just
completely abandoned webcam these days.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be my preference, but now I'm like, well, why would I do that when I can click a button to get a different deck out instead of having to deal with actually getting a deck out?
Right. And then you build your decks for when
you're ready to actually play that deck. Yeah, totally.
Which, speaking of which, I've just throwing a little bit of an update out there. I've made a lot of progress on my new collection organization method. So I'm one step closer to being able to do a video on it.
Cool. We'll do that next week.
Well, we'll see. I got a lot of sorting to do for I just finished Monarch, so I got Tales, Everfest, and Uprising to do. So
back to you, Emily. Do you have a favorite source for learning these techniques and things you've talked about today, or do you just throw random cards in a pile and see what works, or how do you go about that, learning new things and strategies?
I do I do like to look online for like deck text, just like people not necessarily to copy their list, but I like it when I get to see people who do well with decks like explain why they have certain cards in their deck. Like I watched a video about like this Briar player who brought it to Road to Nationals and did really well, and then he was mentioning like uh red evergreen. So it's a 3 cost 7 attack, and if you play it from Arsenal, it goes to the bottom of your deck when the combat chain closes. And so he runs 2 of them, and he was explaining how like if you throw it in when you're playing like a Bravo or an Oldhim or something like that, and the game ends up going grindy, you can like cycle the evergreens out, um, and it's basically a hammer for 7 every turn. And you can actually fatigue the Bravo, which I thought was really funny. Um, so just getting to hear like people's reasoning for having certain cards, and I like to watch a lot of them, and then and then decide like for myself which one I prefer, and then test, and then go from there. So, uh, as for like specific content creators, I'm not really sure. I think I watch I think they're called Team Covenant.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah, I watch them a lot.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of uprising draft stuff, I think, recently, which has been helpful. So I guess if I had to pick like a specific channel, I'd probably pick that.
They're a good one to pick. Yeah, they have a lot of really great content across the board and have been for a long time. I've used them to learn stuff too.
That's where my Briar deck was inspired from.
Oh,
his
nice.
Pro Tour list.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that Briar deck and I lost a lot.
Get good, scrub.
Yeah,
that deck's really good.
I went into it blind after
I know.
The last time I played Briar was
Ball Lightning. Very different. It's very
so different. I was like, I cannot play this. This is not Briar. This is not the Briar I know.
It's less toxic Briar.
Yeah, it is. It's a way better.
It's
Briar.
fair Briar, really, except when it's not in high rolls.
Yeah. It's much better, much more thoughtful Briar too, which I enjoy. Once I finally figured out how to play it later, that was the one that I went off on that video and did the. I think it was a what's it called, natural selection or whatever. No, not natural selection. The card that allows you to draw another card if you hit, and then channel mount at the same time. I had 2 of the force of nature. That's it. Mm-hmm. I had 2 force of nature, so it was double draw every hit with a +3 on every hit. And that got gross. That got gross. So, but cool.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about your Road to Nationals experience? What you're looking forward to with the actual Nationals? What any little tidbits from the day of the big win?
I don't know. I'm just looking forward to like hang out with friends like we did at the Pro Tour. Like I just
absolutely. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to play against like actually competitive people from around the country. That seems
yeah. That's gonna be wild.
That's wild. Yeah, I cannot wait to hear. Maybe we'll do a follow-up once you're done and just tell us about that. Okay, we don't have to, but it's just one of those things. Like I can't imagine sitting at those tables, right? It's just way beyond my skill. So it's awesome to think that you'll be doing that, and there'll be special prizes and stuff. Like you get stuff just for sitting down.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you get I think you get the mat. One of the special mats just for being in the Nationals.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
That a couple weeks ago, I also thought like there was no way I was good enough to be in Nationals, and you can see how well that went.
So. Yeah, and here you are.
You should believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I saw it. I saw you coming up. I saw it from that first draft. I was like, oh Lord, we're in trouble. She's gonna change the dynamic here because there was only like 5 or 6 of us that were regulars, and then maybe 2 or 3 that were irregulars at that time. So I was like, okay, I know who's way better than me, and people who need help learning, and I felt comfortable. And then you come in and just shook the whole shop up. It's all good. And shortly after that, we got so many people now. I have no idea where things are. It's kind of wild. I love it.
Yeah, it's growing. Our local community is growing, and it's super exciting.
It is. It's very, very exciting.
We just need to get over. We just need to get over that hump of the awkward size pod, so we can have 2 pods.
Yeah, on the regular.
Yeah,
I think it's 12, right? Is that true for Fab? Yeah, at 12 they break it into 2 6s, and then that 6 is a reasonable size for a pod where you don't overdraft each other too much.
Right.
We had that 17-person draft night. That was really wild.
That was a good night. I actually did pretty well that night, I believe. I had
the
perfect Icelander deck that evening. It was fantastic. No one was doing ice, and I just pulled it all in, and it was really good. It's really good. I still lost my last matchup against Dromai, but it's okay. I'm not perfect.
Cool. I guess we can start wrapping things up, unless there's anything else.
Is there anything else? Any words of inspiration other than believe in yourself? Anything else you want to share with the audience?
I can't think of anything. So,
well, thank you for coming on and doing this interview. I know I appreciate your insights when you share them, and it's been fun playing across the table from you, and fun watching you play and kick butt and rise to this level. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Cool. So to close this out, just going to go over some of our content stuff. We put out our top 5 comics this week. We put out our market update. We put out our Fab 2.0. This is coming out Sunday. We may have a video coming out Saturday with some gameplay. John and I are going to record a bunch of gameplay of different games. We're going to be doing Grand Archive, and we're going to be doing some Magic, and we're going to be doing some Flesh and Blood. And then our usual top 5 and market updates.
Yep.
So you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, thank you, Emily, for joining us. It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun. And we hope to hear how Nationals went afterwards.
Yeah. Kick ass, take names, own it. You got it.
I'll try my best.
All right. Well, until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.